Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. It's now time for our first topic of discussion for today, and we're going to be talking about the impact of entrepreneurship on the educational system. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined here in the studio by Dr. Jihan Zahran, Education and Innovation Consultant. A very good morning, Doctor, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Doctor, first of all, if you can tell us about the impact of entrepreneurship on the educational system.
So let's talk first about what the definition of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And there's a lot of definitions actually, but let's talk the modern definition of it. Now they are calling it the solving problems of the entire world. So if we are in entrepreneurship, it's a startup of an own business. The entrepreneur is an individual, a person, that he's starting his own business, and he just takes the risks of doing that business and creating it. Whatever that business is, it can be innovator of something, innovation of an idea. This idea, it can be a product, or it can be a service, and it can be anything, products. Anyway, so when we come to the word innovation and ideas, of course, so that's impact directly to education.
Yes.
As we know in education, so suddenly you will find yourself an entrepreneur, an idea coming quickly to the floor, to the business, and you will see it, outcomes, and you will know exactly that it doesn't take a time like a lot of procedures of studying. So it's a short cycle, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's make us just think a while, why I don't have a deep information about something and having a great business about it. It's just an idea, right? So that's great information and sources and resources that having, so coming from education. So, and that makes the education coming in a new process, development one by one. So I have to get more information in a short time, and that's came us to the word research skills that we have to impact in education from the students from K to 12, and of course the higher education.
Yes. Doctor, why do you think that entrepreneurship is gaining momentum nowadays?
What do you mean gaining momentum?
I mean, more and more, it's getting more popularity, and more young people are interested to know more about entrepreneurship and leadership and the required skills to be an entrepreneur or a leader.
Maybe because you're talking about Egypt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but in all around the world, that's it's a long time ago, and that's the basics. When we talk about the Steve Jobs, when we talk about others, that they are innovators and making new ideas and entrepreneurship. But maybe nowadays we realize how important is it just to improve the industry-wise and something called socioeconomics. Okay, so, but this is a new here, but it's in all around the world. This is something that's completely known from the beginning. If you're going to talk about how it is important and how it is people nowadays in all the, like the levels of all the fields talking about entrepreneurship, because they realize in how it is important to improve the industrial wise and to improve the level of the knowledge in any country. But let's talk specifically how it is can be a good outcome, how we can use it, how we know the right knowledge, what is the guideline.
Doctor, also if you can shed the light on the correlation between education and entrepreneurship.
So if we talk about the relation that they are like that, like they're very tight. How?
Doctor, sorry to cut you off, but we're going to be going for a short break, and we'll be back. Dear viewers, a quick break, and I'll be back to resume this segment on The Breakfast Show.
Okay.
مصيرنا واحد وأهدافنا المشتركة واحدة، وما يتحقق من خير وفائدة لمصر من شأنه أيضا أن يعود بالنفع والفائدة على كافة دول القارة. إن مصر لن تدخر جهدا لدعم ونقل خبراتها لأشقائها الأفارقة لتصبح أفريقيا قوة فاعلة على الساحة الدولية بحلول عام 2063. سوف تتجه إفريقيا إلى المزيد من التقدم والازدهار والسلام والتعاون المشترك. إن كافة تحركات الدول الإفريقية تهدف لتأمين مستقبل أجيالنا القادمة. تحيا شعوب ودول إفريقيا وتحيا مصر.
Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. We were talking about the impact of entrepreneurship on education, and we're most delighted to be joined with our guest here in the studio, Dr. Jehan Zahran, education and innovation consultant. And Doctor, before we went to a short break, we were talking about the correlation between education and entrepreneurship. If you can shed the light on the correlation between both, please.
If we came back by the definition of the entrepreneurship as an innovation, ideas, and something that really creativity, that it happened to the floor, that it will have a profit. So that comes from education, right? If you have, for example, I'll tell you just a very simple thing, that what is an education and curricula and everything in the system itself, it is created by human, right?
Yes.
It is something that we created.
Yes.
We create the curricula, we create the procedures, we create everything just to be good, or that way, or that's the best thing, okay? So we create that. So it means the creation itself as an education coming from that. But if I have so many students in the class, I'm just giving them the same information, all right, and I'm testing them one-to-one later on, individually, and then I'll see the skills, I'll see the outcome. How many of them just be and creative and innovative? The problem is that we are, like closing on the creativity and the innovation and the ideas, okay, for students, and put it aside. And that's the main thing of entrepreneur. If I give the idea and the creativity and the skills and improve something that I really can see from my students, and maybe he doesn't see it, but I have, as a teacher, just go and search for it from the testing, from the assignments, from the quizzes, from the interaction, okay, from anything. I can do that, and I will know exactly that these students have a little bit creative ideas. He can do something by his own. And that's, unfortunately, it doesn't have that with the right percentage in some of the education institutions. So that's the main thing. If I cooperate this, integrate the creativity, the context, and everything related to the education with the skills and interactive with the right way and innovative this, I will create from thousands. One person can create for me an idea, and this one person can hire 1,000, and 1,000 can be million. So imagine how many students are outcome or graduates from the high school or the higher education, and how many of them became an entrepreneur and get a profit and get something on the floor to our country. So this is the idea, the outcomes. We have to look at the outcomes. There is a big relation between education and entrepreneur, because this is, we are creating and we are pushing the students to be creative, to have something by his own and take the risk.
Doctor, what about undergraduate education and teaching entrepreneurship or the skills of entrepreneurship in the undergraduate education?
Okay, so if you talk about specifically about that we are forming the character, and this is the most basic thing. I'm forming the character of a student to be a creative one, not exactly just to be something completely new, although it happens, but at least give them, you know, like the freedom to think, not to close mind about something that I really, as an educator, as a teacher, I just want you to do that. Okay, learn this, do this. No, let him think. I give him the guideline, I give him the research, the link, the references,
Tools.
and go, okay, for it, and come to me with an outcome ideas, and don't let him just limit it. So this is the real thing, that from K to 12. And I think nowadays the curricula in even the governmental, I'll not talk about the international schools because it's already international curricula, but nowadays the governmental curricula started to do that, depending more on the projects and skills and researches, and that's give the students have to do something by his own and to know more information which is integrated to the idea that it's given to him.
For a student that is thinking about majoring in entrepreneurship, are there tangible skills that she or he should possess in order to succeed in this major, or it's just it's a learning process and they can develop as they learn throughout their educational years?
It has both, actually. Something really tangible, something that really can see it, and can know from the interaction between you and the students, and you know exactly that he can process more, that he finishes the task and need more than that, and something, this task, it's easy for him, and he search for another idea. I myself have, you know, like experience from, you know, like long time ago. Students have really, most of the school and teachers are complaining from that student in all subjects, but he is amazing in math. He hates anything else, but he's really creative in math. And that's when we just push the thing that you are fine, you're perfect, you can do more, and give him the free land to do this, so he became better in everything. Just look at the skill that it's in front of you in the students, and
not just picking on the weakness.
Yeah, all the teachers actually and all the educators, that they pick up the things that is on the level, on the things that is given. All right, and maybe the students are giving less than you expect, but he's more, you know, like he's innovative and very smart in another thing. So, and that's make us you know, like addressing the teachers that focus on the activities, academic or non-academic, by the way. It doesn't be just very academic activities, you know, like science and lab. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe other activities can you know, like can create something for students, that he can make something on art, that's something in really designing, that's something that really in music and whatever. So if we look at the activity and interact with the students, and more activity and more projects, that will let us know more about the skills that really can be created in development.
Yes. Dr. Jihan, does a successful entrepreneur necessarily have to be a successful student? I mean, the progress throughout the educational years,
At
or
all.
it's not necessary?
At all, at all, at all. You know, like most of the inventors, as we know, and the big educators, and very big invention as we see it, they wasn't like a good students. You know, like what do you say?
So
Shakespeare
the outstanding performance academically doesn't necessarily have
at
to
all.
be.
Shakespeare himself, that he was, you know, like a very poor student. You know, but till now we just, as a literature, we cannot avoid his work. You know, like no, at all. That he has a skill in something. And by the way, as I said before, education is created by humans. We create the curricula, but it doesn't mean that we can make it as a standard for being a creative or not. Okay, because till now we are developing, we are getting new ideas, we are getting new ways, new techniques, new methodologies for getting the right information to the student, because we are the one who create that from the beginning. So we cannot say this is the only thing I can judge you, that to be an entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur or not. As I said before, that's something like giving the risk. So we have to get the skill of being risky student. Go and change and try to do that and make an action and get an information and collect it. So R&D, okay, as we talk about this before, R&D, in research and development.
Yes. Also, Doctor, I'd like to know your assessment of the national curricula shedding the light on entrepreneurship, or more needs to be done.
Okay, there is a progress, a big progress actually. The knowledge bank and the resources and the activities.
The digital transformation that...
that's amazing for all the fields. If we transfer, it doesn't mean like transformation and blah, blah, blah. As I said, in entrepreneurship, the modern definition of it is transforming the world by solving big problems. I'm transforming the world by solving big problems that are really existing on it. Nowadays, there is a progress for changing the curricula, for doing this, you know, like more products and more interactive. But it takes time. It takes time because we still need to have a lot of practice on the educator himself. Okay, when a teacher doesn't have the self-confidence of the info and having a good cycle of the information, and he did not study well before he giving the information to his student, he will use that. The students very clever. They know exactly that you as a teacher, you don't know all the information. And they have a very, very clever questions. Believe me. So we have to know more. We have to call because they are faster than us. So that's really the, you know, like the message that I'm always getting to teachers or educators. Be more resourceable, be more educated than your students. They tell me, oh my God, we are. Tell them, no, you're not. He knows something better than you. They know the shortcut, the shortcut of getting something. But you as an educator, because you believe yourself more and you think this is the right way of giving the information, so I'm out of question. No, you can change everything in the classroom, in the lecture, in the session, according to one question given by a student. So it's just giving you a click. Oh, I didn't get to that. You have to thank him that he gave you something that you didn't think about it. And that makes a very huge change in the passion of that student. And he can be one of the grateful for you for his whole life. As such, you can thank him about something that you really mentioned in a classroom. Believe me, that happens. And you can change the world by just giving a nice word to students who give you something nice. And he just go back home, more info, more resources, and he come to you back and telling you, I have know this more about something that you told me about that, and continuously. Imagine that happen in all the students, in all the subjects. We have more entrepreneurs.
Yes, indeed. Doctor, the challenges facing the educational system nowadays?
The challenges is just that training and training and training and follow up about training with the virtual interaction learning. With the crisis nowadays of COVID-19, and maybe we don't know yet how it's going to be changed, how things going to be normal.
So we're abiding by the new normal nowadays.
But believe me, all of what's going on nowadays, it should be happened from a long time ago. I remember I just came like more than 2 years and talking about the interactive learning and the basic thing of learning management system. So this is basically this is something that just connection, communication, you know, like it's a means of communication between the parents and the students in the school. So that's the basic thing. Nowadays it's just booming. most of the schools discover that they don't have this, and they have to do it because the students at home.
Yes, to
But
cope with COVID-19.
exactly. So I mean, if we're gonna start from that, from the beginning, nothing will happen like this before. But let's talk not about the past and the negative thing. Nowadays, we have having a lot of things that can be changed. We have the curricula, which is digitalized. We have the resources, and we have the activities ready-made to you as a teacher. Okay, everything is ready for you. We need from you, please, just to study it and just focus on the creativity of the student. All right, but we need to know more about being flexible in giving the info. That's it.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
So, do you think, Doctor, that this is popular among teachers, be it having ego or just dictating students what to learn or what to discuss, and not the other way around, not having a both-way discussion or
Actually, I'll not take about all of them doing that, but this is major common.
And how can we overcome this?
By giving, you know, like, how can we overcome this? I'll tell you that. It's a very good question. If I doing a methodological and technical way to students, all right, and I'm just collecting some of the teachers and tell them there is another way of doing that, giving the info in smooth and technological way that maybe will just
be appealing for the student.
yeah, and that's we're going to be astonished. I can reward the teacher who's really doing this and having something that really most different to the one who's giving the info smooth and technological and creativity way and have an outcomes. So from that time, I have, this is the criteria of doing this. So if I can having like an assessment and a criteria for having this is a teacher can do or cannot do. If he cannot do, he can do a lot of things either, by the way. Maybe he can just making as a document thing. Maybe he can make it in another way, but if we found a competition, if we find something that compete the real way of giving the info and make it as a model, okay, of course they're gonna follow. They have nothing else to do. So this old traditional way or old way that giving the info will disappear if we have always a model that giving the right way. Of course, in any you know, like field of industrial or any organization, if you reward a person in your organization that he's doing the best way of giving 1, 2, 3 or doing 1, 2, 3, so everybody else will check his own way. He will go back to himself. Am I doing this? I will try to do that. And education is the best thing that collaborate and cooperation that happen inside the system. So we need to cooperate together.
Yes.
We need to know the right information and having in my class. And can I give you something that you really don't have? You can give it to me, I don't know.
Yes. Dr. Jihan, also speaking about models, how do you assess the incubators and innovation labs and entrepreneurship related initiatives taking place in Egypt nowadays?
In K-12 or higher education?
And higher education.
In higher education. In higher education, actually, there is still a lot of process that doing this, but some of the universities have started this by doing a partnership with global universities, the protocols, the dual degree.
Yeah.
So, and that makes a lot of improvement, and really I appreciate the, what I say, it's a law or new procedures for opening any new universities that it has to get a dual degree with a global university. And that's actually, that's
so
made
this is
by
mandatory
President
nowadays.
Sisi. Yeah, he just made that, and he said no new universities without cooperation between a global university. And that makes what? That makes me, as a local university, try to get the criteria that it's given to me by the global university to do it.
Yes.
No of the global university will come and giving you her name, okay,
Unless they
without
ensure
you
that-
just be sure that everything is okay, right? So when I be sure that everything is okay, it meaning that I'm increasing my level of education. They go, by the way, deeply with the curricula, with who is studying, with the criteria of the teacher, with everything in detail in the cycle, with the place, with the lab, with all the equipments that can be a global criteria. So, and that makes a lot of improvement. And I think that will make a lot of changes in education later on.
Yeah. And also back to R&D, the importance of
Okay.
research and development in education.
If we talk about K-12, it should be from each subject that it had the project and interactive and researches, and that's easily, and that's in the curricula itself. There is no more effort. But the only thing that they have to research for the right way, the guideline. I cannot give the students and tell them make a research about that. No, I have to give them references. I have to tell them a guideline, because they can do a lot of open resources that cannot give him the right way of the topic that they search about. But I have to give them a trusted references, to get the right info. The same thing in the higher education. The higher education is the same. So if I can take an R&D, give him, we have a fund, by the way, in R&D in all the universities, and it is easy to get it. But the point is that how to get the freedom for a student to get the R&D in a very trusted references, guidelines, and the good atmosphere.
Yes.
If we just collect that three parts together, things will be completely different.
Yes. Dr. Jihan, as we're wrapping up, your closing remarks?
Research and research and research, and give the hand and freedom to our students, actually, to be creative. I cannot be creative and just doing the assignment that it's giving to me. I have to give them the free hand to do more and more, and give them more and more, encouragement more and more, to have someone out of million just to be different. Okay?
Yes. Dr. Jihan Zahran, Education and Innovation Consultant, really appreciate your insight, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show.
Thanks a lot. Same to you.
Thank you. And dear viewers, now we move on to a quick break and then be back to resume the remaining segments of The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International.